Welcome to Eye.Talk.Tech, where we explore the intersection of eye care and technology. I'm your host, Dr. Griffin Christensen. In a typical conversation that we're hearing a lot about right now is staffing, missed calls, constant turnover, documentation piling up, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Our guest is Cory Pinegar, founder of Teem. Cory, first of all, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Cory, if you could, give us a little bit of the origin story of Teem and what problem are you guys trying to solve at Teem here?
Uh, Origin story is, I'll try to give this in 90 seconds. I was an early employee at Weave, and I ended up actually buying the service arm from Weave in 2016. So they continued to run the technology side. I bought the service arm, and that was mostly focused on dental practices. And we were based in Salt Lake and had, 30,000 square feet of office space and 300 call center reps that were providing scheduling, insurance verification services for these dental practices. Then good old COVID hit us with a baseball bat in the back of the head. And we realized that we had to play a different game. We couldn't retain and hire at the rate that we needed to meet our needs. And the second issue was, even if when you're bumping up $1.50 an hour times 300 reps, like keeping up with the times was becoming financially suffocating for a business. And so we started hiring internationally at the company named Reach, still exists today. And I was like, whoa, there's actually good people out there. And I think I had a lot of misconceptions before because I'd only worked with people in the state of Utah. And so the origin story was, hey, if this works so well in our business and other small businesses may need access to it, yeah, of course, T-Mobile can outsource and Best Buy can outsource and MasterCard can outsource. But what about SMBs getting cost-effective labor? And so the genesis of Teem is, okay, if other businesses need it, where's another place that we can go and provide it? And for me, I believe in Peter Thiel's concept of pick a niche, master it, and monopolize it. And and what he says in his book is like, pick a micro niche. Don't say, oh, we're going into healthcare. Because like healthcare is huge hospitals, brick and mortar. Pick a micro niche and really go out there and service it well. And we said, okay, we got a concept. I know dental, optometry is kind of similar. It's very different underneath the surface, but similar on the surface. Let's go out there and do it.
And you jumped right into it. What did you learn right off the bat? Were some of those differences between dental and optometry?
It's a slightly different buying persona. Obviously, the insurance world is a much more managed care world than like the insurance that you see in dentistry. There's different consolidation of the market in addition to it. So a lot of the similar concepts of like staffing struggles, missed phone calls, not having the number of adequate people at the front desk exist. It's more of probably similar cupcakes in the way that water, flour, sugar, and eggs makes up both of them, but there's different sprinkles on each of the verticals.
Sure. And maybe this is a question that would apply to both, but I think oftentimes we do view some of the shortcomings of staffing being related strictly to headcount. Is that something that you run into, or are there issues that maybe run deeper than that? What do you actually see inside practices you work with?
What do you mean by it? Go deeper, because I have an idea, but when you say around headcount, what do you mean?
Yeah, well, I would say that the solution to a problem for an office is they need another desk person. Is that going to allow them to capture all the phone calls that they otherwise could with a system like yours? It would be an example. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. Okay, this is awesome. A really great way to start. I've owned my own business for the last, I'm going to age myself here, not really. But I've owned my own business for the last 10 years. Today, I have a couple thousand employees around the globe, and statistically done well. In business, when things go wrong, there's two areas it falls into. You got the wrong people or you got the wrong processes. And there really is no in between on things not working. When I think about the front desk of optometry, it's not the people. Fundamentally, it's broken. And if I were to think of like let's say we lived in, a country town in Utah, 200 years ago, 100 years ago, I have no clue. But we're on the horseback days.
Sure.
And you wake up one day and you're like, oh, my tooth hurts really bad. Okay, I'm going to go gallop into town and I'm going to go see the dentist. Well, you go into town or you go see the doctor and they're going to, extract that tooth because that's the only thing they knew how to do at the time. But when you think about a receptionist, which we have in optometry, exists in dental, a receptionist in the original form was someone that checked you in, took your money, and checked you back out and said, hey, we'll see you then. Technology and times have evolved. So then insurance comes into play. Back in the day, when we were galloping into town on your horse, like you're not thinking about, oh, let me call VSP and see if this is going to be okay, or INET or United. So then we add in insurance. We got to verify. Well, then we've got to go pay. We've got to adjudicate and submit later claims. We've got to follow up with patients on billing. Well, then we have recare calls. We have contact lens ordering through portals. And so more and more and more has been dumped on the one or two people who were originally checking people in and checking people out. There's not been more resources provided. Yes, technology has changed, but also the demands of the job have significantly increased. And so why do I think people struggle with staffing is it's hard to hire today. It's hard to retain today. And there is a workforce, you and I are probably somewhat of a similar age, like it is a more fickle, non-loyal workforce. And I'm going after my own generation here than it used to be. People used to work 20 years as the front desk in an optometry clinic. That loyalty doesn't exist. And so hard time hiring, hard time retaining. And then the third concept is it costs a lot. The level of inflation that has happened in the last 10 plus years in the United States is crazy.
Yeah, I think you give me some vivid imagery with the riding into horseback to see the dentist
I had to go back
in
to our
Utah.
Western movie days for it.
Yeah, well, in
Well,
Utah, I think of oftentimes that would have been accompanied by a stiff dose of brandy or something like that. That would have been a rougher extraction in Utah, I think. So
Fight the belt while they pull it out with a little brandy.
No, but I think your points are certainly poignant ones. I guess my question for you would be, why is an outsourcing opportunity the right fit there as opposed to an additional human employee, or now as we enter into this age, an AI employee? Is that going to be something that we move towards?
Okay, this is awesome. I'm going to go a little off script here and give a rant that I think is very practical. I thoroughly disdain the term outsourcing, even though we fall under the bucket, and we would label ourselves. When I think of outsourcing, I don't know what you think. I think of lower cost and mediocre quality is the politically correct terms that I would use to define it. And as a solo practitioner, okay, yeah, it's cheap, but all of my patients hate it. We've all called Wells Fargo or another big company, and you can't even understand the person on the other end of the line. And let alone they can help you. It just feels like they're reading a damn script and you finish the night by throwing your phone at the wall. And so what we are actually in the business of is helping practices build a hybrid team. Outsourcing really exists from if I were in your practice and I were then to say, I want to outsource my insurance verifications. I'm hiring a company, and when I come in the next day, I expect us to be 48 or 72 hours and ahead of insurances being verified. They manage it. What we more want to do is take cost-effective, engaged, smart talent and embed them into a practice where they join your morning huddle, where you are actually, they're in your Weave chat or whatever kind of, engagement systems you have, where you can say, hey, Dr. So-and-so is not able to come in today. His wife is having a medical issue. And the more that then we can then take remote work and more cost-effective work and integrate it in, I would never advocate for someone throwing an iPad at the front desk. Now, people do it, and it may be the reality in some parts of the country. But I go to the same dentist I have since I was 12, and I go there because they know me, and there's a personable relationship. But do the insurance verifications? Does the follow-up on getting me to pay my bills? Does the actual new patient scheduling need to bombard the front? No. And so why not help build that hybrid practice where there's cost-effective resources where needed, and at the same time, you've got people in the practice who can actually be focused on delivering great clinical care and engaging with the patients in front of them.
And so that's maybe the term that would be more pointing as you see it as virtual employee, or what terminology do you guys
Yeah,
use? You
could
did
be
mention
remote
outsourcing
worker.
earlier,
I
but
mean, we say virtual assistant because it's
yeah, yeah,
the term people understand
sure,
the most, and why I probably am a believer of like the future is hybrid work, and AI factors heavily into that as well. So we can kind of put a pin in that. Is let's even
yeah,
look at the math since 2001, so roughly 25 years ago. You have seen VSP, IMEN, all of your insurance companies roughly increase reimbursement rates by what percentage do you think?
no idea.
23 to 24% is
Wow.
all managed care increases. What
Okay.
has inflation been during
Yeah.
that same amount of time?
Yeah. It could be triple digits in that amount of time.
I would have actually thought triple digits too. It's 86%. And so the
Yeah.
problem that you have right now is you have a floor that is rising faster than ceiling. And the person who gets caught in that compression is the business owner. And so why is the hybrid workforce a reality, not a nice to have or like a doodad? Is because how do you alleviate some of that financial pressure that is getting created from a ceiling that's rising substantially 3 times slower than the floor? If you have a virtual employee, a remote employee, your average cost savings across the US is $24,000 per employee per year. Even if you save some money on your gloves, you're not going to save that level of income where then you can add an exam lane, pay down your student debt, give your office manager the increase that they wanted. But because of that pressure, I think it actually provides a real substantial alleviation that then helps solve some of the huge issues facing the industry today.
Sure. And to, hammer down on the pin that you mentioned, the AI front, how would you juxtapose or maybe compare and contrast the things that could be offered today as we sit here from an AI virtual employee versus a human virtual staff member? And how do you see that changing?
I think there is a misnomer sometimes pushed in all of the markets right now. So this is not an optometry specific comment that AI is a replacement for people. 100 years ago, Henry Ford built the first true production line for cars. Do people still work on the Ford factory line today? Yes,
Yeah.
hundreds, thousands of people. The sewing machine is a great example of what I think AI is. It's an enabler. I can write my emails faster. I can go through a financial analysis in a more clear way. I can provide coaching feedback better. It's not this complete standalone remover. Did online scheduling eliminate all of the new patient and existing patient phone calls to a front desk? And did text messaging eliminate all of the return outbound phone calls that have to be done about contact lens orders and recare calls? No and no. And so AI should be used where people want it and where it can truly provide a good experience. And that's going to continue to evolve. Our job is then to provide this service that empathetic human connection actually matters on, but use AI as that first line of defense. If
Sure.
we're doing recare calls, and this is like a software example, but it would be better to say, all right, let's go into our Weave, let's send out all of our recare texts, and then let's go call the people who don't schedule based on our follow-ups. Well, then we've taken the low-hanging fruit and they've removed it where the humans can focus on, hey, Griffin, Dr. So-and-so noticed you're overdue. When is best for you? And AI is going to do the same thing where it's going to remove maybe mundane questions or scheduling or do you accept my insurance? But it's not going to remove, hey, my son just took a baseball to the eye. What should I do?
Hmm. So you envision it maybe as a task replacer rather than a human replacer.
It's an enabler. Like I am 20% more efficient at my job today because I use AI for my emails or our analysis or building a deck. And it's the same exact thing where it's going to allow humans to focus at what they're unequivocally, uniquely good at and remove them from the mundane and the consistent things that need to be done, but that are just catching so many people in right now.
So you mentioned an interesting benchmark there that you're 20% more efficient with email. What sort of benchmarks do you maybe help practices utilize to see where they stand in real time?
What do we have available?
Yeah, yeah,
Really good question. So we have a performance tracker that we've built. I think a big issue is most practitioners and business owners in optometry are used to looking down the hallway and saying, "Oh, I see Cory picking up the phone calls." And I could go as an outside vendor or partner and be like, "Hey, Griffin, how's this person in your practice?" And you'd be like, "Oh, yeah, they're great," because you see them every single day. I then go say, "Hey, Griffin, how's your remote worker?" And you're like, "Good." And I'm a huge sports fanatic. And I think the reason I love sports is incredibly definitive. You either won the game, you lost the game, you never scored. It's not like, oh, LeBron really worked hard on the court tonight. It's like, no, LeBron scored 36 points and the Lakers won or lost by 2. So what we've built is something called the performance tracker. It shows you the number of phone calls that have been picked up, the conversion rate of your team members, how many text messages they've handled, inbound and outbound, how many insurance verifications they did. And it allows you to set your goal so that you can say, in my practice, I want X number of new patients scheduled a day and X number of recare calls scheduled a day. And because of that, you actually have a scoreboard that is defined on what is a win to you. And then live time allows you to see where you stand. And then every Monday gives you a report on what's actually being done. It removes, "Hey, Griffin, how's your remote team member?" You can say, "Oh, they're great," because you see the data, and data is damning.
sure. And when you have that data, what is sort of the follow up step? So a practice owner runs these numbers, identifies a problem. Do you have a framework for thinking through what needs to happen next?
We have a people or a process issue, almost, that we went back to. Like, do we have fundamentally the wrong person in the wrong seat for the practice? And at that point, we can replace any of our team members at any point. But also, were they trained properly? Were the expectations being communicated to them? Are they having a technology issue? And so we really believe that we are a partner to the practices that we get the opportunity to serve. And our job is to help drive successful outcomes. We want to diagnose it at where the root is and then work with the practice to make it better.
Sure. And in terms of real world results, what are you seeing from practices that maybe lean into this model, and what are maybe some common objections that people try to utilize to avoid this sort of a model?
Really good question. So there's 3 main reasons people come to us, and you could fall under the myriad of all of them, or you could fall under one. People come to us because they know they're missing a lot of opportunities. So that could be like, no one's called my recare list in 6 months. I'm missing 32% of my phone calls. And the data around 32% of phone calls is real. So some people call us and say, "I'm missing stuff." Success looks like, okay, your phone calls missed went from 32 to 11 or 32 to 8. Some people come to us because they just can't hire and they can't retain. I've hired this position four times in the last 14 months. What's success? Success is getting the right person into the right seat and them sticking around. And the third bucket is cost. If you're coming and you're saying, "Hey, I don't know if it's financially viable to be an optometrist for me right now." Success isn't coming back and saying, "Hey, Griffin, we've reduced your missed call rate." That's good. Success is coming back and saying, "Hey, we're able to drive an extra $27,000 a year in margin for your business." And so for me, what is success? Success is solving the problem that we got hired to do.
Sure. And when you talk to practice owners and maybe some of these potential objections come up where they say this is just outsourcing or my team's going to feel threatened, is that something that you run into? And to what will be your response to that?
Number one, I fully understand when someone says, "Hey, I've got concerns on how my team would react." Or some people even say, "Well, this is anti-American. I should be hiring people in my local area." And I am a true blue American. The reality is, and like one of my favorite quotes is, if we keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting a different outcome, that's a definition of insanity. We opened today to talk about how that roof is barely moving up and that ceiling is, or the floor is rapidly moving up. And so it's the only way right now that real change can be created. And how do you take that back to the team? Where I see this go horribly wrong is where a doctor sits down and says, hey guys, we're hiring a virtual assistant. People then are going to be like, oh, I'm next. Or, oh, like, what will happen? Instead, if I were a doctor here, or how I've seen it work really well, is sitting down and saying, hey guys, a lot of you have been, wanting pay raises, which you deserve. Or I know we wanted to expand to another exam lane. As you guys know, there's not a bunch of money coming back from insurance companies right now. We've got gloves that cost more and shipping that costs more. And so what we're going to do is we're going to bring on a virtual team member to help us in this area. And the second thing is that allows you to get paid more, or for you to delegate the insurance verifications, which you hate, or delegate the recare calls, which you don't like doing. If you can't show people how this will benefit them, and if it makes them feel unsteady or nervous, of course they're going to hate it. I would hate it too. But people who sit down and say, yes, it's beneficial for the business, but the business needs to do well for you to do well here. When people see the vision of I can earn more, I can delegate the things that, don't provide me joy or are pulling me away from the highest level of work, people can get really excited, but you have to explain the why and the reasoning. It's not, hey, this is what we're doing, suck it up.
It's about the framing. And to that end, what are, obviously each individual practice is an individual practice. I don't mean to clump them into one bucket here, but what have you seen is maybe an optimal framework in terms of how many virtual assistants? What is the ratio to on-premises staff members? And do you have any thoughts on that?
So our average client has 1.5 VAs, but we have some who are multi-locations who have 10 or more, and we've got some who have one. I almost reframe it back that it's not about what the optimal framework is saying, what is the real problem that you're having within the practice? Do you need $50,000 of net income to then do what you need to do? Well, then guess what? Your answer is probably not one VA. It's more than that. Are you missing 80% of your phone calls? And are you getting 100 phone calls a day? Well, guess what? You probably need more than that. And so it's really saying, where are we bleeding? And then getting the right number of staff to solve wherever that issue is. Like, yes, the data is 1.5, but I really want to make sure that we lead with partnering with the industry. So if we're trying to say, hey, the average practice needs 2, is such a blanket Band-Aid instead of we're here to solve problems.
Sure. And how does optometry relate to, I know you guys work with dental and veterinary medicine in particular. Where is optometry in the adoption curve, and how does that relate to that other industries you're involved in?
It is so interesting when we're breaking into med spa, we've attempted other industries as well. And when we went into optometry, I think it was roughly 3 years ago, it felt like we pitched a couple of people and it felt like the grass caught on fire and people being like, holy cow, we've been getting killed by this. And so there was interest because the problem existed. Where we spend most of our time is educating people about the reality. Like, hey, you can get someone with a minimal or non-existent accent. And what does it cost? What can they actually do? I think the problems that we're solving are suffocating the doctors and the private practices of our industry right now. It's more than showing people how and earning the trust. I mean, we are in the thousands of practices in the first couple years and have months where we can add 100 new locations. And so that shows not that we're really good at marketing, but that there's a very relevant and yearning need within the industry right now to change how we're doing things.
Mm. And for an OD that's listening to our conversation here and is curious or maybe is thinking about taking a first initial step, what is a realistic first move that you would point them towards?
Number one, think about where your problems are. The only reason to hire a virtual assistant is not because you want a virtual assistant, because you want to solve a problem. And number two is if you have questions or you want to learn more, I'm sure we can post in the show notes, but our website is hireteem.com. It's hireteam.com. And go there. You can click a link and schedule directly with our team where we can then educate you, talk about those specific questions and see if this is a good fit. Not every practice in optometry needs this. And so what we want to make sure is that you have relevant problems that we can help you solve.
Wonderful. Well, Cory, thank you so much for the time here. Is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with? Anything we missed before I wrap up?
I think the last thing that I want to talk about is when people think about hiring a virtual assistant, what gets daunting is, well, how do you train them? Because in our practices, we're super used to, oh, great, Griffin, come pull up a chair and I'll show you how to schedule in Crystal. I'll show you how to verify in VSP. And so what we have built along with the performance charter is something called Teem University. So when you come in, you say, here's what I want my person to do. Recare calls, contact lens ordering, new patient scheduling, and we use Crystal and Weave, or we're using Revolution and Mango Voice, or whatever it is. But then our system custom builds by what you tell us the initial learning journey, where it's not, oh, Griffin, we're giving you a optometry virtual assistant and they've been trained for 2 weeks. Well, it's like, what? There's so many different things they could do. They're just going to be wet between the ears and it's not going to be practical. And so we want to build training where we can give you the cost-effective people, but then we're also licensing and providing training courses where you just need to train on what matters specifically and is unique to your practice. We can help get that base level there 80% of the way, and it makes the integration of this a lot easier. It's really daunting when you say, oh, great, I'm going to take someone brand new and train them from scratch. We realize there's not the time with front desk staff, office managers, and doctors. And so we want to give great people, provide great training, and then be able to show the data to earn and continue our relationships.
That's excellent. Well, Cory, again, thank you so much for your time here. As we alluded to, we'll have the appropriate links to connect with Cory and Teem in the description here for this video. And if this episode was useful, please like, share, subscribe, share it with a colleague, leave us a review, and we'll see you guys next time on Eye.Talk.Tech.